Thank you for joining us for another episode of Talk Talks, sponsored by Photographer Entrepreneurs Association. And if you haven't had a chance to check out the association, go to photographerentrepreneur.com to learn more about photography business resources, templates, training, and support. We'll see you over there.
There you go.
All right, welcome. We are back again with another exciting interview, and today we have Makayla Jade. Hey, Makayla.
Hi.
We're so excited to have you on. We know you have a super busy schedule, and you've just been rocking and rolling, so we're excited to have you on and have you share a little bit about you and your business.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. It's always nice to do these little meetups. I appreciate it.
So for those of you who don't know Makayla, let me tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to dive right in and learn a little bit more in detail about her business and what she does and her and her husband. So Makayla is the founder of the Harris Company, developed a brand distinguished by providing elevated full-service photo and cinema client experience, propelling the company to reaching six figures and beyond in less than 3 years. That is amazing.
Wow.
Rather than focusing on a specific type of photography, she's built a number of brands ranging from weddings, brand photography, studio portraiture, all appealing to a niche clientele that places a high value on printed products and photographic art. So welcome, Makayla. We're so excited to have you, and can't wait to dive in because you have so much information having to do with that art piece and really making it that entire experience.
Yeah, so we specialize in full service, meaning we do all of our in-person print sales or virtual print sales with all of our clients after each photographic experience. And it's just been something that has allowed us to stand out in a smaller market where, you know, kind of everyone else is just doing digital galleries for their clients. And initially it was something that we were afraid we wouldn't be able to adopt into a new market. But, you know, people have been super receptive of it, and it's actually turned into like a really positive thing and something we've become known for. So we really try and do that, you know, regurgitate that in all of our branding, talking about how we focus more on providing those albums and wall art as a finished service versus just the digital galleries.
That's awesome.
That's great.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your expertise and your focus, and also maybe some things about your business that people might not know about?
Yeah, so I mean, when I first started out as a photographer, I had no desire to be like running a business or owning my own studio. I literally just picked up a camera because I wanted to have better photos of my then newborn baby. So I was just one of those momographers that wanted that and didn't want to have to pay for a photographer, right? So initially, I wasn't looking to do anything high volume, and I just kind of was so intrigued by the business side of photography as well that I thought like, hey, you know, once I started getting requests from friends and families to shoot shoot portraits for them, I was like, okay, maybe I could do something with this. And now that our children are starting school and they're a little bit older, it's just turned into an awesome career for me. So yeah, I did not start out like thinking that this was going to be this big thing for me. And it all happened pretty quickly, which was exciting for sure.
This is really cool because, you know, here you are doing high-end, you know, in-person sales opportunities. And I feel like a lot of I wouldn't say everybody, but there's this tone of like what a momographer is, you know, and like everybody's like looking down in a way. We just see it in the Facebook groups all the time. We don't participate in those conversations, but it's like realistically, all of us picked up the camera the first time one day. And no matter where we were in our space, we were not the professional, the experience, the, you know, further along in the journey. So it's exciting even for you to openly talk about like, hey, this is where I was. And yeah, I took photos. I didn't want to pay somebody. I wanted to like do it myself. And that's not like a dirty or a bad thing, but it was the first day of my path that brought me, you know, to where I am now. So it's really excited that you shared that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. So throughout your experience, you probably have faced a lot of challenges with your business. So can you share maybe one of your biggest challenges and how you overcame that?
Yeah, so I think one of the like most common challenges that I feel like everyone goes through, whether they I want to admit it or not, is like finding clients, right? And so, when I first said I'm not going to go back to work, I stopped looking for corporate jobs, and I just needed to make like a certain amount per month to keep my husband happy at that point, right? I couldn't find clients. I was like, where am I going to find these people outside of my cousins who didn't want to pay me anyways, right? And so that's kind of what started my in-person sales trajectory, because I thought, well, if maybe I didn't have to have a lot of clients, but I could make more per client, I could still get where I needed to get and not have to be gone from my family as often. And that's really where the light bulb went off for me. It was kind of selfish in the sense that like I just wanted to make what I needed to make in order to still be home with my kids. And just kind of having that motivation and just getting started right away was a huge challenge. There are so many fears that come along with that, especially when you're just starting out. Your work, you think in your head your work is not worthy of being blown up or being printed, and no one in their right mind would pay for it, right? So all these things are going through your head. You just can't imagine making even a couple $100 extra. And when it happens for the first time, it really just for me, the floodgates opened. It was just kind of like, wow, there's potential here. How can I get better at this? And so I think the biggest challenge for me was like, I couldn't find those clients. I didn't want to work high volume. I didn't want to work for a super low price point. I needed to find another way. And I was afraid of what that would bring. But the moment I just dove in, my whole life changed. And I easily, was then addicted. I became addicted to how can I make this process better for my clients? How can I, be better at communicating this so that way I can generate more business from it? So
I think that's one of the biggest, big red light going off, biggest fears that people that are shoot and burn in that state, thinking like, no, everybody I know will not pay this. They want the CD or the USB or the digital files. Nobody I know wants a printed product. I think we all have that limiting belief before we make that shift. Is there anything that you did or that triggered? Again, you had to do it, and like you said, you were being a little selfish. But was there like a pivotal point? Maybe it was internal that shifted that for you to go from that shoot and burn into the IPS mode.
Yeah, I think for me it was workshops. So I really love surrounding myself with education and being around other like-minded professionals. At that time, like I said, I was just a mom. My husband was not with our business at that time, and I didn't know what I needed to learn. So I attended a workshop. I think it was back when WPPI did those road shows, and it was in New Jersey. And I heard from a number of photographers about like the potential for in-person sales. And I walked away from that and I said, okay, so maybe I'm not going to make like a couple $1,000s per client, but maybe if I could just make like $200 or $500, like that would be amazing. And so I just set my goal really low from the beginning. I set my expectations really low just because I thought, well, hey, if it doesn't work out, what's the worst that could happen? And my first sale was not super impressive. I sold like $800, and I think maybe I made like a little bit on that after all the expenses were said and done. But it was really, that moment was just so pivotal for me in the sense that like, okay, now I realize like this is doable and there are ways I can improve to make it actually sustainable. So
that's great. That's awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So throughout your time with your business, you've done a lot with marketing. Can you tell us a little bit, maybe one of your best marketing tips?
Oh gosh, I love marketing. So that was my background before starting photography. So it's something that we're constantly tweaking in our business. And I think in a digital world or in like the social media generation, everyone is just inclined to go to social media or blogging or and email marketing. And while all of those are super effective, I think it's important to just really concentrate also on the resources that you currently have. And for most of us, that's people. Like, we photograph people, we're in these communities, we have kids or friends that we can service. And it's such an easy, cheap form of super effective marketing that so many people overlook. That I would say, like, that's my strategy, is like, just, make sure that you're out there, you're meeting people, you're growing relationships, you're putting other people first, thinking of ways that you can add value to what they're doing, so that way you can open a genuine relationship with them. Because when you present yourself in a way that you want to provide value to others up front, it's going to come back to you tenfold, right? So, just go back to your roots. And if you don't have money to invest in Facebook ads, or you don't have time to blog all over the place, like, go to a networking event. It's going to be way more effective. So I don't know. I think that's one of the things that I think so many people just overlook is, the things, the resources you have right in front of you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that Paul and I preach all the time. And like, I know, at least from when first meeting you, like, your energy is contagious. So like, if you can convey that same type of energy with your clients, like, it's just going to build that relationship and make it grow even stronger.
Yeah. I guess maybe it's too much coffee. I don't know.
And I think that we following what Melissa said, we're always, we get so caught up in Facebook has convinced us, and all the social media, because they make money on us spending more and more time there. They have behavioral scientists that keep us addicted. They have the dopamine popping constantly, that we feel like we can't live without these things now. And ironically, there is an isolated human being that's on the other side of every single social media account. That's like, wow, I remember when I used to hang out with real friends, and they used to go out and do real things. And now I'm supposed to be connected, and I'm isolated and bored. And I think a lot of us are actually quietly starving for the interaction with live human beings face to face.
Yeah.
And
so true. I mean, even myself, when I end up at a networking event that I haven't, with people I haven't seen in a long time, I come home and I like just can't stop talking to my husband. I'm like, yeah, I met this person, and it's like, because we're fiending for that personal interaction. When we finally get it, it's like so exciting. So
absolutely. So for a new photographer just getting started off with their business, what advice would you give them?
Okay, so this is, when you guys had said this, I'm like, I've heard this from other people myself so many times. I almost feel silly saying it, but just make decisions. You're going to make wrong decisions. You're going to fail. Things are going to happen. Like, there will be epic days when you're crying on your couch thinking, like, how could I have possibly allowed this to happen in my life? Or what am I even doing here? Still, I have those days. Like, what am I even doing with my life? And it's like, that's okay. Just keep making those decisions, like, keep taking those steps forward, because the moment you allow that fear to stop you from making those decisions or taking those actions in your business, that's really when you start to lose your momentum. And that's really what will cause you to be unsuccessful or successful. And I think it's so easy for us to hold ourselves back, especially when we don't have a sounding board, or we're working for ourselves, or we don't have a community. And ultimately, really, that's the only thing that's holding you back. Because even if you make the wrong decision, what you'll learn from that is so much more valuable than if you had just not taken any action at all.
Yeah. I love that. I think we are all entitled to have an ugly cry, like, every once in a while.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I blame it on sickness. Like, I must be sick today. I think I need to just lay in bed. And really, it's like, I just need to get my mind right and figure out, okay, why am I here? What am I doing? What is my purpose? And get myself kind of back in gear again. And it's tough. It happens often, but you need to know what gets you out of it, so that way you can recognize when it's happening and just kind of keep chugging forward.
I feel better now. It's not just us. And to know that, like, we're even more experienced and further down the road. So somebody that's even brand new, just know, like, this doesn't end. Like, as an entrepreneur, as an artist, like, you're going to be evolving and growing. And if you don't take the risks, you won't fail, but you also won't succeed. Right. You only make a mistake when you try something new.
Yeah. Right.
It's getting out there. So that's great.
You had said something about knowing what your why is. For someone that's kind of struggling with that, what would you say if they were like, well, what is my why? How would you tell someone to, like, kind of tune into that?
Yeah, see, that's a good question, because I feel like so many people get hung up on like, I need to have a story, or I need to have like this big epic like thing that happened in my life. And I remember going to conferences and hearing from speakers and thinking like, well, nothing like terrible has ever happened to me. So like, how do I have that? Like, how can I create this epic story as to like why I'm a photographer? And I thought that like, just because I was a mom that wanted to be a photographer that then grew a business out of it, I thought that was such a boring story. But now looking back on it, like that's a huge reason. That's why I'm here every day. That's why I'm working hard every day, is for my kids, so I can go on vacation with them, so I can provide them with the stuff they want, so my husband can come full time with our business, things like that. So even if you aren't necessarily, maybe you don't think it's something important, kind of take a step back and think about like, even if it sounds a little bit selfish or it sounds boring to you, if that's what motivates you, if that's, what gets you where you need to be, then own it. Because it doesn't have to be this crazy epic purpose. It could be something as simple as your family. And ultimately, in my mind, that's the biggest purpose. So
huge why.
I love that. I love that. So I have a fun question for you now. If you were to relocate to a brand new area and no one knew who you were and you had $1,000 in your business bank account, what would you do with that money to market yourself?
I love this question because we recently did relocate. So we started our business in Boston a few years ago, I think six or 7 years ago now. And coming up on 3 years ago, we moved to Saratoga Springs, New York, which is a small suburban little town in upstate New York. It's definitely not the metro city that Boston was for us. And we had built a pretty comfortable lifestyle business in Boston. My husband was full-time at his company, but he shot weddings with us on the weekends. We had health insurance. Our kids were fine. Like everything was going great. And we knew if we moved, a lot of things could happen. He was deciding to come on full time with the business. So we would have to, take on the burden of putting all of our eggs in one basket, right? Our health insurance, all this self-employment stuff. And, the market is quite a bit different. So it was something that we were super afraid we wouldn't be able to sustain our pricing. We thought our business would start to crumble because we were new to the area. But the one thing that we did that I think is one of the only reasons why we became so successful in our current town so quickly is networking, in-person networking. And so what I would recommend, I know it's a popular term in like the sales and marketing industry to create like your dream 100, but create a list of your dream 50, your dream 20 people that are currently serving the clients that you want to serve, and reach out to them personally. Think about what you can offer them to provide value up front. If it's a florist and you want to do some photos for her, or if it's a yoga, studio and you want to cross promote an event, whatever it might be, think of something of value that you can offer those people to open up that relationship. Instead of just handing out business cards and just kind of starving for business, really think about, what can I do to stand out in this person's mind by doing something for them? And that's what will really open up that relationship. And then they'll start to refer you naturally because you're a good person and you want to provide value to them, so they want to provide value to you. And so that was one thing that we invested so much time into, having dinners and doing free promotional work for other businesses, going out to coffee or meeting up with people. I mean, a ton of different things for free, just to network with these people that we knew would eventually, it would eventually come back to us. And it was, we did not invest in any paid advertising. We didn't do anything else when we were here. And it was super effective because now these people are glowing referrals for us and flooding new business for us. So again, it's cheap, it's easy, it's fun. You get to know people, right? And it's effective. So use those resources, grow those relationships. It's going to be way more effective and, like I said, enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always refreshing to hear this point of view, because again, coming back to like the popular, like what you hear in the forums and everything is like, don't give away anything for free, blah, 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 And ironically, most of us that are very successful, we came from the stand, like instead of investing the money, you invested in people, you invested in relationships. You're looking at a long-term versus short-term instead of meeting somebody because we go to networking events and we see people that do it wrong because they have their little elevator pitch. They pitch it to you. They don't find out anything about you at all. And then 30 seconds later, they're on to the next person. You can overhear them saying the exact same words and doing the same thing. Like they don't even ask for a business card. They're there for themselves. And for you to have that attitude of gratitude to like go in and just in the Dream 100, Chet Holmes originally created that. And a lot of people in the internet marketing space talk about it a lot. And that's really like find influencers that influence a lot of people, because then if you influence them, you don't have to talk to the masses and the thousands of people, because these select people already do it for you. Yeah, it's like having a megaphone out there for you. So, I mean, I think that's excellent.
I love it.
Yeah, great.
Love it. And it's fun. Like you said, it's fun. You get to meet people. That's the coolest thing, is that you get to meet people, learn their stories. And it just, again, it's building that relationship. So.
Exactly. And for the industry that we're in, I mean, so often we work with these people again. So even if the return doesn't come back to you, at least, you know, you end up being that good guy that's always putting themselves out there, you know, and I think that, you know, you don't have to work for free forever, but when the value is there, I mean, hey, invest in it, you know. If it's a relationship, it's something that's going to, you know, reap a reward or return to you really quickly and continuously over time. So
that's awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
So is there something that you do on a regular basis or a success ritual that you think contributes to your success?
This is so cheesy, but yes. So when I am crying on the couch, or that's a little over dramatic, but when I'm just like in a, you know, funk and I can't figure out like what I should be working on next, I use Audible. I listen to motivational business books. Some of them I've read over and over and over again, just because the authors really resonate with me. And also those like silly Facebook inspirational, like Will Smith. My husband showed me one like Will Smith did recently. That type of stuff, like it seems cheesy, but if it lights a fire in you and gets you to do one or two more things that day than that you otherwise wouldn't have done, hey, whatever works, right? So yeah, I love those little motivational talks or those silly videos that are viral online or whatever that might be, because it helps.
That's awesome. What are some of your favorite books? I'm curious.
So I love Grant Cardone. I mean, he is hard and he is rough, but I love reading his books. I think his 10X is one that is super forward, but I love it. It gets me to, you know, it was one of those things that allowed me to stop paying attention to everyone else, what everyone else was doing, and just work on me. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we just need to hear that, because it's so easy to, you know, get caught up in like, oh, well, she just launched a new website and they're opening a studio and this person did a new video and like, what am I doing? And it's like that alone takes up so much headspace that if you can just ignore it and focus on what you know you should be doing, then you're going to get way farther, way faster by just ignoring that. So I started just switching up some of my daily habits. Instead of going on Facebook first thing in the morning or going on Instagram first thing in the morning, just kind of getting myself physically up if I need to, if I'm not feeling that day and I just need to like pop on a chapter of one of those books to just be like, you know, get me back in that mindset. He's also, Grant Cardone is also an insane salesman. So I love reading his books on sales. I think, you know, despite how some other people take more of like a psychological tactic, you know, he tries to put people first. And I think that that's something that's worked really well for us in our business. Just innately, it felt better to put our clients first when we were selling. So now that I'm trying to learn more about sales on a professional level, like that seems to resonate with me really well as well. So I love it. I love his books. I just started reading Tony Robbins. I feel like I was trying to like not do, I don't know why. I was like, I'm afraid of like tiptoeing into the Tony Robbins thing, because I feel like you're just going to die.
No, I totally feel you on that, because that's totally me. But I love everything that he does, and you'll when you read it and get into that, you'll get sucked into it. But
yeah, I'm sure I will. I've had so many people recommend a few of his books, so I was like, well, I guess I just need to dive in. But yeah, and then I think just the other one that's been on my list is Russell Brunson. I've read a few of his books just in the online marketing world. He's a genius and very simple. And I could read his books over and over and over again. I have read them over and over again. So yeah, those are three of my favorites right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so as far as business tools and resources that you use in your business, is there any that you use on a regular basis that you really can't live without?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to keep going back to this, but really for me, it's all about people. So I think tools come and go, and I'm the type of person that will dump a software if it's not working or I find something that works better for me, I'll dump it like that. I'm constantly looking for efficiencies and ways to improve my systems. But when it comes to something like I can't live without, a few very important people come to mind. Obviously I'm in business with my husband, so I wouldn't get through a day if I wasn't able to like bounce crazy ideas off of him. And his parents are also a huge resource to us. They've provided us with so much advice, and other industry professionals that, relationships that I've developed over the past few years just from, similar to meeting you guys out at these trade shows and hitting it off, having conversations with people. You kind of know who you can reach out to when you're struggling with a particular problem. And so, people like Andrew Fundenberg and my friend Lauren Kirkham, Ben Hartley is an awesome person. I chat with him often about different sales techniques and stuff like that. So for me, it's really about people and having that sounding board and being able to utilize that when I need to.
That's great.
I love that. I love that. I love it. You looking at people rather than things, and it just keep coming back to that basic principle. It's all about relationships. I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
So last but not least, what are you working on now, and how can people get in touch with you?
Awesome. Well, we just opened our studio here. So we're working on kind of moving in, doing all that. We're hoping to offer some in-person workshops here, as well as support people online through online education. So we have our education site, education.theharrisco.com. So we have some free resources there. Otherwise, you can find our studio on Instagram at HCO Photo Cinema, or myself at MKLAJADE.
We'll make sure we have all that in the show notes and everything as well.
Absolutely. This has been so fun, and I love everything you've shared. I think you had just a lot of insight, and again, coming back to the simple things, again, the relationships. I think that what it comes down to, that's what I've gotten out of the talk that we've had today. So.
Yeah, awesome.
It's something we do, but I take it for granted.
Yeah.
So to hear what you say, because it's ingrained in us. And I think we're in a day and age where we're so focused on the social media and text messaging and instant, and we never have the expression of the emotion or the inflection behind it. And it's kind of like, even though that's good and it's a tool, let's move it aside and let's have this eye-to-eye contact.
Absolutely.
Which is great.
And a good ugly cry every now and then.
Yes.
You guys should just get on Skype.
From now on. That's great. Well, now I know who to call when I need.
Absolutely. Call me anytime. Well, thank you so much, Makayla. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. This was so much fun. I appreciate you having me on, and I hope to hear from you guys soon.
Yeah, awesome. Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Talk Talks, sponsored by Photographer Entrepreneurs Association. And if you haven't had a chance to check out the association, go to photographerentrepreneur.com to learn more about photography business resources, templates, training, and support. We'll see you over there.